Have you ever wondered how a hand-drawn coloring book is made? Well, let me walk you through it. I create hand-drawn coloring books from scratch. I have 30 pictures in each of my books. I've got 3 coloring books out now, and each one is using Amazon KDP. Today I'm working on the let's try it again. The Compsognathus. So again, we're referring to this one as this dinosaur. I'm not going to try and say that again. I'll be sketching, inking, and coloring it with alcohol markers. I'll color each page so that I can pick out 3 for the back cover, and then I'll pick 1 to do half for the front. I do a half coloring on the front side. There's kind of what it looks like. And along the way, I'll share some dino facts, share a few drawing and coloring tips, and what it means for me personally to get up every day at 4 a.m. to do this. So let's start with the sketch. I always keep my pencil strokes really light. I usually work with a 4B pencil. It's dark enough to see, but easy enough to erase. You'll notice I don't stay too long on the video on the pencil just because it is so light. So here's a tip for you. Don't chase perfection in your first lines. I just block in the basic shape. I try and get the form pretty close and then erase, and I modify it until it feels good. Here's a quick fact while I sketch. This dinosaur was a small chicken-sized dinosaur that lived in Europe. Fossils were found in Germany and France, and it became one of the first nearly complete skeletons ever discovered. And in a moment, I'll show you why I make the eyes bigger. In most of my critters. I put the legs slightly forward. This dinosaur was a fast runner, so I want to capture that agility even in a playful design. I do the eyes the way I do bigger just because it makes it cartoonish, just gives it a little bit of a distinction and style, and people are naturally drawn to eyes, I've read, so I try and do that to just make it pop a little more off the page. Another tip, don't worry if your proportions feel off at first. You can adjust those with light lines and then darken them in later. Think of sketching as a conversation with the paper. Not every line is final, and not until it's inked anyway. When I start the inking, I use a 1mm pigment liner. The trick is to keep your hands steady, but I do wobble a little bit, but I don't stress out about it. It is hand drawn. I want to give a little bit of character. I try and make them as straight and curved as I can, but I'm not perfect and I'm getting older. But it's not AI. I like to use thicker lines from the outer contour, makes the dinosaur stand out. I try to remember to use thinner lines for the finer details. I don't always remember that, but I'm trying to keep doing that. When inking my curves, another little tip for you, sometimes I turn the paper instead of forcing my wrist to turn, or I'll just move my entire arm in motion to keep the curve flowing as smooth as possible. It just helps keep the line smooth. Here's another fact. The Compsognathus means elegant jaw. For a long time, paleontologists thought it was the smallest dinosaur ever found, about the size of a turkey. Later, even smaller dinos were discovered, but this dinosaur kept its reputation as Tiny Dino. In a second, I'll share a tip that keeps my inking lines from smearing when I go back over them with markers. As I ink the background, the rocks, the grass, and the sun, I try to keep it simple. The star of the page is the dinosaur itself. Background details fill the space, but shouldn't overwhelm the subject. One more tip, when inking, I pause and let the ink dry. Sometimes I use a drawing glove when I ink, sometimes I keep a fan nearby to speed it up, and it just helps me to keep from smearing the ink all over the place. Now comes the final part, coloring with the alcohol markers. I usually start with the lighter colors first. Here I'm giving the dinosaur a bright green body with darker green belly to add some shadow to it. Little tip, work in small sections so the ink stays wet and blends smoothly. If you wait too long, you'll see harsh edges, which if you look at my earlier videos, you'll see plenty of evidence of that. I'm still learning, and every time I sit down to color is a new experience. It's been fun, but yeah, I have some backgrounds that are a little shady. Quick fact, this dinosaur probably ate small lizards and insects. Fossils actually showed tiny lizards preserved in their stomachs. Imagine this little guy darting around chasing critters. That's part of why I gave it a playful pose in this drawing. Keep watching because I'll show you one simple background coloring trick that makes the dinosaur pop off the page. I added stripes for contrast, and don't be afraid to experiment. Markers can overlap and your colors can bleed, but it's your coloring page, so do it the way you want. For the background, blue sky, gray rocks, and a bright yellow sun, it keeps the whole scene lively without taking focus away from the dino. And stick around with me to the end. I'll share what getting up at 4 a.m. really feels like day after day. So that's my process: sketch, ink, and color. Each page I finish gets me one step closer to completing my Dinosaur Critters coloring book. I'm working on smaller sheets right now for a better control, but the published version is going to be full-size 8.5 by 11 inches. And for me, getting up at 4 a.m. every day isn't just about drawing dinosaurs and ocean critters and farm critters. It's about discipline, it's about creativity, it's about keeping my mind sharp, and it gives me focus and energy, and sharing it with you makes it even more meaningful. If you enjoyed this, check out my other dinosaur drawing and coloring videos, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll be working on my first dinosaur that lived in the water next, and I appreciate you coming by. Like and subscribe, and hope you have a great rest of your day.